My name is Alder Jeanette Morrison. I am the chair of the Committee of the Whole for the Board of Alders. And we will be starting now. And as time goes on, more alders will be here. Everyone is getting off of work. So a couple of things. As I said, good evening. And thank you for coming to our Committee of the Whole meeting. We are simply taking testimony tonight, and we're not taking any action at this meeting. In the interest of time, we will ask everyone to keep their testimony to 3 minutes. And just so everyone knows, we will cut you off because we want to give everyone, equal time. If you have more that you wish for the committee to consider, you may send your testimony to publictestimony@newhavenct.gov, and it will be sent to the committee. And so with that, I will read the notice. Board of Alders, New Haven. The New Haven Board of Alders Committee of the Whole will meet in the Board of Alders chambers located on the second floor of City Hall, 165 Church Street, New Haven, at 6 p.m. Wednesday, June 7, 2023, to hold a workshop on the Charter Revision Commission, and at 6 p.m. Tuesday, June 20th, 2023, to hold a public hearing, and at 7 p.m. on Thursday, June 29th, 2023, to hold final deliberations and additional public hearing if needed to act on. LM 2023-0341 from the Charter Revision Committee submitting the 2023 Charter Revision Draft Final Notice. And the following items for further review by the Charter Revision Commission. 1, departments. Departments that should be moved from the charter to the BoA Board of Alders as an ordinance. 2, change residency requirements for some key city job positions. 3, adding defined term limits in place of lifetime appointments under the Park Commission. 4, boards and commissions. Remove selected boards and commissions from the charter to the Board of Alders ordinance. 5, change to number of alders who can sit on various boards and commissions. 6, allowing non-electors to sit on boards and commissions. 7, requiring 2 parents or guardians of a current New Haven public school student to be appointed to the Board of Education. 8, replacing mayor on Board of Education with a mayoral appointee. This item is on file and available for public inspection in the office of the city clerk, second floor of 200 Orange Street, New Haven. Per order, Honorable Jeanette Morrison, Chair, attests Honorable Michael Smart, City Town Clerk. For accessibility-related accommodations, please contact 203-946-7833 voice or 203-946-8182 TTY prior to meeting. Public testimony may be emailed to publictestimony@newhavenct.gov before 2 p.m. the date of the meeting. So, and with that, the other thing I would ask everyone, if you can please put your, either turn your phones off or put them on silent. Thank you. We have an interpreter service here. So if anyone here is in need of an interpreter, just let us know, and we do have an interpreter here to.
Yes.
Just raise your hand. That's our interpreter.
You want me to say it in Spanish?
You can say it, yes.
Sí, soy intérprete en español. Si alguna persona desea hablar en español para decir, yo le puedo transmitir el mensaje a ellos en inglés.
Thank you very much. Okay. So first I will ask our committee to introduce yourself, starting on my right.
Alder Sal Punzo, Ward 17.
Alder Campton Singh, Ward 5.
Sarah Miller, Ward 14.
George Streeter, Ward 21.
Carmen Rodriguez, Ward 6.
Gerald Antunes, Ward 12.
Jeanette Morrison, Ward 22.
Yvette Hamilton, Ward 24.
Thank you. And now we will hear from the public. And I have the first 9 names here on my sheet. So I will call your name and also let you know who's the runner-up. And then we also have another sheet. And if there's anyone that hasn't signed in that would like to testify, you can put your name on the sheet over to my right. Okay. And so with that, we are going to start with Ms. Claudine Chambers. Ms. Chambers. And like I said, everyone has 3 minutes. All right, and just so that everyone knows, once we get to like 2 minutes, 30 seconds, we'll let you know to start wrapping up, okay? And before Ms. Chambers, we have you start, I would like to recognize Alder Flickland. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Chambers, you can start. Name and address for the record.
Thank you. My name is Claudine Wilkins Chambers, and at 66 Star Street, New Haven, Ward 19. To the Charter Revision Committee, or Commission, good evening. I've already told you who I am. I'm also Ward Chair, Co-Chair for Ward 19. And I'm here to speak in support of the proposed representation on the New Haven Board of Education E-Board. I've always felt that there should be parent representation on the school board. Without parents, there may be no one on the board that could speak from the direct experience regarding what kind of homework children get, what they come home with, how their day was, how was the food. They wouldn't get a good report from the food. How students feel about school and each other, and what kind of sports activities are they getting? What kind of support are they getting for those children who need extra support? I strongly support charter revision to include at least 2 New Haven parents or guardian or caregiver. The presence of these members would ensure that all schools are prioritized equally. Also, replace the mayor's seat with a 5th appointed or 3rd elected seat, with no offense to our mayor. I do not feel the mayor's seat on the executive board does not make the mayor more accountable for the school system. I feel the mayor will be very accountable no matter what for our school system. So thank you so much for considering these recommendations. I thank you. Good luck. Good evening. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone from the committee? Okay, thank you, Ms. Chambers.
Thank you, guys.
Before we go any further, Ms. Chambers, do you mind leaving your written testimony to staff?
Please, come back.
Yes. Thank you. So before we go any further, I would like to recognize a few of our alders who just walked in. We have Alder Wingate, Alder Santiago, Alder Douglas, Alder Evelyn Rodriguez, and Alder Herrera. Alder Herrera, come. This is your committee. The committee of the whole office. Thank you. Okay. So next we have Ms. Kika Matos, and after Ms. Kika, we have Argando, Hilra Argando, Hilario Argando, right after Kika. Thank you. You can, thank you.
Good evening, my name is Kika Matos. I live at 89 East Pearl Street. I'm a resident of the city of New Haven, and I have lived here for the last 21 years. I serve as the president of the National Immigration Law Center, better known as NILC. NILC is a national organization that works to defend and advance the rights and opportunities for low-income immigrants, and we do this through litigation, policy advocacy, and narrative and culture change. I'm here this evening to strongly encourage the committee of the whole of the Board of Alders to recommend a charter revision so that New Haven residents who are not electors can serve on boards and commissions. The charter's exclusion of immigrants, refugees, and non-citizens from participating in boards and commissions is inconsistent with our status as a sanctuary city. All of our city residents should be able to serve. It would both benefit our city and also strengthen our democracy. As we know, immigrants, refugees, and other non-US citizens are our neighbors and our co-workers. They pay taxes and make economic contributions to the city. New Haven is the place that they have chosen to call home, and it is here where they have decided to plant some roots and raise their families. The vibrancy of the city has been boosted in part by these specific communities. Yet we reject their expertise and their knowledge, and the city boards and commissions are adversely impacted by that rejection. So today, while they're denied the opportunity to have a voice and to serve, they would be willing to do so. Other jurisdictions around the country have paved the way and strengthened their own democracies by moving in the right direction. Let me give you a few examples. In 2019, California enacted SB 714, which allows non-citizens to be appointed or elected to serve on county central committees. 1 year later, San Francisco, California became the first major city to allow non-citizens to serve on commissions and advisory boards. And Hayward, California passed a similar ballot measure. In 2021, Santa Ana approved a law allowing non-citizens to serve on boards. Last November, Chula Vista, California voters approved a ballot initiative allowing immigrants to serve in local commissions. And in Boulder, Colorado, the only requirements to serve on city boards and committees is that you be 18 years old and you be a resident of the city. Let me wrap up by sharing a brief reflection. New Haven was once considered to be one of the nation's most progressive cities when it came to immigration issues. We pioneered the city identification card, and we were the second city in the nation whose police force declined to ask residents about their immigration status. During the Trump years, our efforts to offer sanctuary to those facing deportation were notable and lauded. Sadly, today, we are no longer seen as that beacon of light. Tonight, I encourage the leadership of the city to put us back on the map. Let us ensure that New Haven's sanctuary cities includes giving all residents an equal opportunity to have their voices heard and to participate in our democracy. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from, anyone on the committee? Yep. Alderman, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your testimony. I wonder if you could just, given your national perspective, if you could speak briefly to what it looks like in terms of places where this has been enacted, what has the impact been, how has it operated?
It has opened up a channel for immigrants to participate in the democracy of these communities. It has given them a sense of belonging, but more importantly, from the city's perspective, you have an entire new population of people who bring their expertise, their experiences, their knowledge around a set of issues to the city. I know sometimes it is hard to find people to serve on these committees. There are thousands of people in the city of New Haven who would be willing to serve, and so it's also an opportunity for the city to not be stuck by recycling the same four cats who you look to serve on these committees.
Thank you. Any other questions? Alderman,
I'm just curious, there is happen to be in these cities, the participants are wanting to serve in these commissioners, they be part of the small business?
So my own expertise and knowledge of these issues is such that what I would say is it depends on the different jurisdictions, and it depends on which committees each city has. But what it has made it possible is for people who live in the immigrant communities who have certain expertise to be able to make themselves available. There are always organizations like Unidad Latina Nación and Junta that know this community well and know the people who live in these communities and know their expertise. And so these community-based organizations often serve as a conduit. So if, for example, there's a specific commission in New Haven that could benefit from somebody who has an expertise in this set of areas, these nonprofit grassroots organizations can often think of, oh, I know this immigrant who's from Venezuela or from Ecuador, and they have this particular expertise, and they're often the ones who do the outreach and engagement.
Thank you.
any other questions?
Thank you for the presentation. On those cities, are there any requirements for them, like high school, college, or anything like that? What are the requirements for them to serve?
It differs from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. In both the simplest one that I can give you is the one I mentioned, which is Boulder, Colorado, and specifically all that the charter says is that you need to be 18 years old or older, and you have to be a city resident, and it actually also includes a waiver. If you're not a city resident and you offer a certain level of expertise that the city can benefit from, then you can apply for a waiver, but the specific requirements differ from jurisdiction to jurisdiction.
Any additional questions?
Thank you for being here with us today and sharing on behalf of the immigration community. You are aware that we have over 55 boards and commissions in the city. And I believe you are also aware that anyone can really volunteer in different ways in this city. I mean, I call this the city of the meetings. Everywhere in the city, at any time of the day, you'll find individuals meeting. But my question is, have you explored at the state level in reference to what their discussion in reference to the residents and the individuals that have been established in the city and that pay taxes through ITIN and so forth? Because in our charter, it is established And first of all, and you are also aware that in the city, in order for you to be able to vote, you have to be a citizen. So it's significant, it's important to see what, if anything, have you explored in that area? And specifically in our charter, it states that for you to participate or be a board member, not necessarily a volunteer or an individual to contribute, because there are ways, the boards have different ways of getting work done, and Board of Education, for example, has about 4 or 5 committees addressing specific things that need to be addressed for the Board of Education, but nonetheless, there are individuals that can benefit and volunteer through that work. So that's my question. Thank you.
So thank you for asking that question. Look, the issue that I think is particularly problematic here is the charter language that explicitly prohibits people who are non-US citizens from serving on these boards and commissions. And so in essence, what I think this amounts to is a group of second-class citizens who have expertise, who have knowledge, who have experience that they want to bring to the table, who are willing and able to serve in a volunteer capacity on these commissions. And we know the impact that these commissions have on the city. And yet, because they're not a citizen, they're not able to participate. And so what I'm encouraging this body to do is to encourage a change in that. It also speaks to our desire to have the strongest democracy possible. Right? In a strong democracy, we make opportunities for people to engage in the civic life of the city. And because of this charter provision, people can't do that. Behind me, there are, easily 100 people who will be able to share the life stories and offer skills and expertise that would deeply benefit the city. So from my perspective, it's not just an issue of strengthening our democracy, but it's also a way to prohibit barriers that are discriminatory against a significant segment of people who call this city their home.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to be very brief because since you already acknowledged in your says about the small businesses, because you see the impact of this particular group. They are very interested to share their experience. Because like I said, they come in from so many other cultures in many countries that they come in with skills. And that's what is my interest. And I wanted to give the opportunity, regardless of the status, what is the value they actually can provide as a citizen, and they provide, a lot of them come in with degrees.
A lot of them come with degrees, a lot of them come with significant business experience, a lot of them come with a different economic model to thrive economically. There are some models that are collective models that bring together people with different expertise, and they create collectives so that they can benefit economically from their shared knowledge and these unique models of collective ownership. If you go to the former Seatown, now it's called Key Supermarket, right? You will often see, if you look carefully, people selling tamales out of their cars. People selling food and other products out of their homes. Like that is the informal industry that we see in many of our communities. It takes a lot of chutzpah and courage and creativity and sheer grit, right, to figure out how you're going to overcome all of these barriers to push the trade that you know best to be successful in this city and in this economy. Imagine if we were to create opportunities for these entrepreneurs to share the skill sets with their city. Imagine if we were to model some of their communal arrangements that make them so economically successful and adopt some of those models in New Haven. Right? So the crux of this charter recommendation speaks to exactly what it is you are talking about, which is an ability for us to learn collectively and to benefit as a city from these contributions, be they economic, cultural or social.
Before I ask for any other questions, I want to recognize our board president, President Taisha Walker-Myers, and our majority leader, Furlow. Thank you for being here. Okay. Thank you. Any other additional questions from the committee? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, next we have
Ms. Ogando.
Ms. Ogando. And after Ms. Ogando is Gabriela Fernando.
If it's okay, I can translate because I've already translated her testimony.
We do have someone.
I read my testimony in Spanish.
And before we get started, and I would need you to translate this for me, can please everyone turn your phones off? Everybody, and everyone out there, can you please interpret that? Thank you.
Antes de continuar, favor de asegurarse que los celulares estén apagados, lo tengan apagados porque siguen sonando.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, and she understands, we have 3 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, great. And your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Hilaria Ogando. Soy residente de New Haven desde hace 15 años. Vivo en el distrito 3 de New Haven. Soy madre de estudiante de la escuela de New Haven.
Good evening.
I'm sorry, I need you to say your name and address for the record
Para
also.
comenzar, podría decir su dirección.
O 981 de la Grasso Boulevard, apartment 33, New Haven, Connecticut, COC 519.
Thank you. Also, we also need you to say your name and address for the record.
Yes, Megan Fountain, 276 Huntington Street.
Great, thank you.
Can you use the microphone, please?
You can continue, thank you.
Soy residente de New Haven desde hace 15 años. Vivo en el distrito 3 de New Haven. Soy madre de estudiante de la escuela pública de New Haven.
I'm a resident of New Haven for 15 years. I live in Ward 3, and I'm a parent of a New Haven Public Schools student.
Hoy doy mi testimonio a favor de que haya más equilibrio en la Junta Educativa y más representación por parte de los padres de familia como yo.
Today, I'm giving my testimony in support of having more balance on the Board of Education and more representation by parents like me.
Estoy de acuerdo con los siguientes cambios. 2 miembros de la Junta deberían ser padres de familia con niños estudiando actualmente en la escuela pública de New Haven.
I agree with the following changes. 2 members of the Board of Education should be parents of children who are currently studying in the New Haven Public Schools.
4 miembros de la Junta deberían ser elegidos por los votantes de la ciudad y 3 designados por el alcalde.
4 members of the Board of Education should be elected by the voters of the city and 3 chosen by the mayor.
En este momento, solo hay 1 de los 7 miembros de la Junta Educativa que tiene hijos en la escuela pública de New Haven.
At this time, there's only 1 member of the 7 members of the Board of Ed who has children studying in the New Haven Public Schools.
Es importante que haya más equilibrio y más representación en la Junta. Los padres de familia vemos lo que sucede en la escuela todos los días. Vemos lo que los estudiantes y la familia necesitan.
It's important to have more balance and representation on the Board of Ed because parents see what happens in schools every day and we see what students and families need.
Mi hijo acaba de graduarse de la escuela Bernard y fue buen estudiante. Siempre sus calificaciones fueron A y A+. Esto se debe a que me di la oportunidad de buscar ayuda y que él estudiara fuera de la escuela. Por ejemplo, desde kinder hasta el 5º grado lo llevaba a New Haven Free para tener más ayuda adicional en la lectura, ya que sé que es fundamental en su educación. Recientemente, él va participando en el programa de Pathfinder en la escuela privada de Hoskins.
So my son just graduated from Barnard School, and he did fine. He always got A's and A pluses, and I gave him many opportunities to study outside of school. I always took him to New Haven Reads from when he was in kindergarten to 5th grade, because I know that reading is fundamental, and he got extra tutoring. I have also had him participating in the Pathfinder program at the Hopkins private school.
A pesar de que mi hijo pasó sin ningún tipo de problema en Bernard, incluso recibió reconocimiento, otras familias no tuvieron la misma suerte. He visto de primera mano las interrupciones en la educación que ocurren cuando las escuelas carecen de personal y liderazgo constante.
So although my son did fine at Barnard School, other families were not so lucky. I've seen firsthand the disruptions in education that occur when the school is understaffed and lacks consistent leadership.
So we're gonna need to wrap up.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Because the persons giving testimonial are limited in English.
We've already provided for that. Every time the interpreter spoke, we turned off the time. And
Okay,
then
thank
we
you.
allowed her to speak so she could get her 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hay que ir sumando porque se ha acabado el tiempo. No sé si usted puede concluir. Is there something you can say to conclude?
También he visto de primera mano en el sistema de lotería que para mí no funciona igual que para otra familia. Mi hijo tuvo la oportunidad de aplicar en 3 magnet schools y ninguna fue recibido. Y en los números que incluso llegó más cerca fue en el número 80.
I've had problems myself with the lottery system and seen how many families, the lottery system is not working for them. In the case of my son, he applied for 3 different magnet schools and he got a low number and didn't get into any of the magnet schools.
Okay, so what we're gonna have you do is provide your testimony to our staff, and then all of us will get a copy of that so we can hear the rest, because we have a lot of people here and we wanna get through the list, okay? So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for your services. We have Gabriela Fernando, and after Gabriela, we have John Lugo. So name and address for the record.
My name is Gabriela Fernando, and I live in Ward 7 at 455 Orange Street.
Thank you.
As an undergraduate student at Yale University, I'm an after-school teacher at Yale's Peabody Museum, which serves New Haven public high school students across the city schools. I support a more democratic Board of Education where NHPS families and voters have a real voice in decisions that impact our children. In particular, I want to shed light on the importance of including non-citizen immigrants on the Board of Ed and all city commissions. As an after-school teacher to NHPS students at the Peabody Museum's Evolutions program, I witnessed firsthand the diverse identities of the district students, as well as their passions for learning and their desires for autonomy in their own education. Secondly, as a student in Yale's Ethnicity, Race, and Migration major who has taken several classes within Yale's Education Studies program, My studies uphold racial and ethnic identity as a significant thread in the rich tapestry of equitable public education. Today, NHPS students speak 70 different languages and report 52 different countries of origin. As of 2023, 21% of New Haven's 19,150 public school students are multilingual learners. A study at Southern Connecticut State University shows that the number of multilingual learners in New Haven schools increased from 1 in 10 in 2020 to more than 1 in 5 in 2023, despite the district's overall population decrease. And these students are overwhelmingly concentrated within the same schools. Furthermore, NHPS has seen a 26% increase in the percentage of newcomer multilingual learners over the last 2 years, particularly from Guatemala, Ecuador, and Afghanistan. The Southern Connecticut State University study concludes that not only are Connecticut multilingual learners significantly less likely to graduate from high school than their peers, but they also overwhelmingly attend schools with the lowest per pupil expenditure in the state. Research from Florida State University and UC Berkeley shows that a more racially representative school board creates more equitable school punishment, as well as significantly increased spending on facilities and schools serving majority students of color. With a substantial portion of New Haven students being immigrants or the children of immigrants, it is imperative that immigrants be allowed to serve on the Board of Education to represent this growing community within NHPS. I believe that the Board of Education should be more democratic and representative of NHPS parents and families. I support the following reforms. 2 seats on the BoE should be reserved for parents, guardians of current NHPS students. 4 seats on the BoE should be elected by city voters and 3 appointed by the mayor. Immigrants should be allowed to serve on the Board of Education and on all city commissions. I thank you for your time and consideration and hope that the Board of Ed can evolve to best serve and reflect the interests of all NHPS students. Thank you.
3 minutes on, right on cue. Anyone has any questions? Any questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. If you can leave your testimony. And thank you, Alder, for appreciate it.
Okay, we have Mr. John Lugo, and after Mr. John Lugo, we have John Carlos Miskir.
Hi.
Alright, so name and address for the record in 3 minutes, and when you have 30 seconds left, we'll let you know.
Okay, my name is John Carlos Lugo. I live 276 Huntington Street in New Haven. So, esta ciudad es mi hogar desde 1991 y desde esa época he sido testigo del crecimiento de la comunidad migrante, sobre todo desde la firma del Tratado de Libre Comercio entre los Estados Unidos y México.
This city has been my home since 1991, and since that time, I've been a witness to the growth in the migrant community, especially after the United States signed the free trade agreement with Mexico.
Durante esa época he visto el avance de nuestra comunidad, que decidieron establecerse en los barrios como Fairhaven y El Hill, en los establecimientos comerciales que estuvieron abandonados por mucho tiempo en la Gran Avenue y la Kimberly Avenue. Nuestra gente apostó al aporte económico y abrieron restaurantes, bodegas, panaderías, cafeterías, ventas de autos.
During that time, I've seen the progress of our community, who decided to establish themselves in neighborhoods like Fairhaven and the Hill. In commercial establishments which were abandoned for a long time, in places like Grand Avenue and Kimberly Avenue, our community contributed to the economy, opening restaurants, bodegas, bakeries, coffee shops, and auto shops.
Empezamos a hacer los aportes culturales con bailes, desfiles, ligas de fútbol, conciertos.
We started to contribute culturally with dances, parades, football teams, and concerts.
En la lucha por los derechos civiles luchamos por nuestro derecho a permanecer en este territorio que es parte del continente donde habitamos. Posicionamos a New Haven en el mapa político nacional al demostrar que sus habitantes migrantes siguen los ejemplos de las luchas históricas como la rebelión del Barco de la Amistad o el movimiento de las Panteras Negras, y en esa pelea ganamos localmente el primer documento de identidad a nivel nacional para nuestra gente, además de otras iniciativas para protegernos.
In the struggle for civil rights, we are fighting for our right to stay in this territory as part of the continent, which is our home. We position New Haven on the map politically, nationally, demonstrating that New Haven's migrant residents are examples are following the examples of historic struggles like the Amistad Ship Rebellion, the Black Panther movement. And following in the footsteps of those struggles, we won a local reform here, the first identity document, the first ID card, the first in the nation to create an ID card for our immigrant community.
Todo esto nos lleva a reflexionar que aún en contra de que las leyes migratorias a nivel nacional no nos favorece, miles de migrantes han decidido permanecer aquí y llamar a New Haven nuestra ciudad.
Even when some of the laws, the US laws, have been against us, many migrants have decided to make New Haven their home. This is our city.
Ese es el momento de que la ciudad siga avanzando y nos dé la oportunidad de que salgamos de la invisibilidad y podamos participar en la toma, en la forma como se gobierna la ciudad de New Haven. Somos el 40% de los estudiantes en las escuelas públicas y nunca se nos consulta de la dirección que debe tomar nuestro sistema educativo.
This is the time for the city to continue making progress, for our community to stop being invisible and to participate in the governing of the city of New Haven. We are a large percent, we are 40% of the students in the public schools, and we are not consulted on the direction that our education system should be taking.
Somos víctimas del proceso de gentrificación liderado por el alcalde Eliker y no tenemos representación en la Junta de Rentas Justas.
We are victims of the gentrification, which is being spearheaded by Mayor Eliker, and we don't have representation on the Fair Rent Commission.
Somos víctimas de la violencia policial y nuestra voz no es escuchada en la Comisión de la Policía de cómo hacer el Departamento de Policía una verdadera policía comunitaria.
We are victims of police violence, and our voice is not heard on the Police Commission for a real community policing.
Somos víctimas de la violencia de los gobiernos de nuestros países y esas violencias en muchos casos son financiadas por el dinero de los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica y no tenemos voz en la Comisión de Paz.
We are victims of the violence of the governments in our countries. Many times that violence is financially sponsored by United States funding, and we don't have a seat on the Peace Commission of New Haven.
Ya es hora de que dejemos de ser solamente los que cocinemos en sus restaurantes, los que limpiemos sus edificios y sus casas, los que cuidemos a sus hijos, cosechemos sus verduras o hagamos más ricos a las grandes corporaciones que son los dueños de nuestras casas. Es hora de dar el salto y que nuestra voz sea escuchada en cada comisión que dirige este territorio.
It's time for us to no longer just be the cooks in the restaurants, the people who clean your buildings and your homes, the people who care for your children, the people who harvest your vegetables, the people who make the big corporations rich. It's time to take a leap, take bold action, and have our voice be heard in every commission that governs this territory.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone? Any questions? Thank you very much.
We have Mr. John Carlos Masur, and after him, Maria Teresa. Maria Teresa Serrana is after John Carlos.
My name is John Carlos Musser. I reside at 102 Line Street. Currently, I am a rising junior in New Haven Public Schools and an active member of the Upper Crossing Council. And recently, I was elected as a student representative of the Board of Education. I strongly advocate for a more democratic Board of Education that ensures NHBS families and voters have a genuine voice in the decisions that directly impact students like me. Unfortunately, we as students have been grappling with numerous vacant teacher positions, resulting in the loss of precious months of learning, or in some cases, an entire academic year. Moreover, our bathrooms fail to meet reasonable standards with broken utilities and empty soap dispensers. Having a parent on the Board of Education be advantageous because they can better understand the critical nature of these problems, both for students in general and for their children. Education, particularly at this stage of our lives, plays a pivotal role in our development from toddlers to young adults. Parent representatives with children in the New Haven system would be motivated to approach decision-making with honesty and conviction. Furthermore, New Haven public students encompass a diverse student body comprising individuals from various backgrounds, including the Middle East, North Africa, and South American countries. Some students enroll in our schools just days after arrival, which presents numerous challenges such as language barriers and cultural shocks. I strongly believe it is only fair to provide immigrants with the opportunity to run not only for the position on the Board of Education, but also on any commission. This will allow them to represent immigrants throughout the city and address the unique problems they are intimately familiar with.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the testimony. Very true, very correct. When you are in the school and you are participating in these activities, how many immigrants approach you that you're comfortable to be part of something in the school?
Not a lot, and from I don't think a lot. Just from the people who just approach me in general, there's not a lot of people who approach me with problems.
Okay, but you still see them active in the schools? They're still active in the schools, participating?
Yeah, I would say so. The student council, they're like a couple.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you very much for being here tonight. And I understand that you have shared that you'd like to see a more democratic Board of Education. What do you mean by that?
So I would like to see more people on the student board to be elected rather than appointed.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you for letting us know about the vacancies and how it's affecting you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for your testimony. Ms. Maria Serrana. I'm sorry. Good evening. And then after Ms. Maria, we have a Stephen Coleman after. Thank you. Could you give your name and address for the record?
Yes. Good evening, everybody. My name is Maria Fries Serrana. I live on 47 Avon Street in New Haven. So I have moved to the United States since 2005, and I have lived here since then. I'm here to strongly support the campaign for a more democratic Board of Education, where New Haven public school families and voters have a real voice in the decisions that impact our children and community. I'm a graduate student in the MA in teaching at Sacred Heart University, and so in the process of getting certified as an elementary school teacher. I have worked as a long-term substitute teacher and as a para-educator in New Haven in 2015 and 16, and from 2021 until May 2023 in various schools in New Haven, particularly County West, Quinnipiac Elementary School, Worthington Hooker School, and East Rock. From February 14 to May 10, I was a 5th grade teacher at Roberto Clemente Leadership Academy, where I was forced to resign because I called out the math coach's lie about a non-existent district mandate in the math curriculum. But that is another story I would like to share another time. In addition to being a New Haven taxpayer and voter and a prospective teacher in our beloved city, I am greatly invested in New Haven public education because I have a 16-year-old son, John Carlos Moss, who just spoke, who attends Wilbur Cross High School. He's the newly elected student representative in New Haven Board of Ed. He is an excellent student and an athlete and is a proud product of New Haven Public Schools since kindergarten. As a parent and as an immigrant in this great city that proudly displays its being a sanctuary to the civil strife and climate change refugee, it is unfortunate that the current composition of the New Haven Board of Education does not reflect a democratic representation of families that the New Haven Public Schools serve. To address this skewed system, I strongly support the proposal to change the BoA composition to include 2 seats for parents or guardians of current New Haven public school students, 4 seats for election by city voters and 3 appointed by the mayor, immigrants to be allowed to serve in the Board of Ed as well as on all city commissions. In addition, based on my experience as an educator at New Haven Public Schools, our city government must do everything it can to address the teacher shortage. I have personal anecdotes from former New Haven teachers or my friends who have moved to other school districts in Connecticut, who said that one of the major reasons teachers are leaving the district is the lack of support from school administration to address students' social and emotional challenges that disrupt learning in classrooms, prevent teachers from doing their jobs efficiently, adding to the burden and stress teachers normally have to deal with. We all know that the pandemic has only worsened this. School administrators are paid 6 figures in taxpayer dollars, while teachers, especially the para-educators who are in the front line of educating our children, the future of our society, sadly remain at the pitiful bottom of the pay grade. School administrators should be competent in their jobs to deserve their pay grades, providing support to teachers in every way they can, especially new teachers. There should be a regular active feedback mechanism for teachers, staff, and parents to evaluate their principals and school administrators without fear of retribution. Having parents of New Haven public school teachers in the BoE can help facilitate this. Thank you very much for listening to my testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
I do, Madam Chair, if I may, just very quickly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your testimony. So your son's a junior. The Board of Ed terms are 4 years. So that means that you wouldn't qualify to serve as a parent because you would be 2 years without any children in school. So I'm just wondering how that would work. Everyone is saying, and I hear the testimony and I appreciate it, but I just want to take a step back to see if we can make some sense out of this, because we're hearing the same thing over and over about a democratic process. So would the democratic process mean for the 2 parents that those 2 parents would run citywide? Because right now, we have 2 elected officials and they each represent half the city. So would the 2 parents represent half the city also, or would they represent the whole city? Because to me, that wouldn't be a democratic process if there were 2 parents that only represent a section of the city. We would have to divide it into 4. Right now, the democratic process is through appointment, that the mayor appoints the members. There is a public hearing where people get to come and testify whether they are in support of that candidate. If not, then they can say, we don't support that, or recommend people for the Board of Ed. So I'm just trying to figure out what kind of process this is going to take before I can even consider supporting something like this. The words sound good, but when I think of how to put it on paper, I don't know how to do it.
Let me clarify. Sorry, let's see. Alder Richard Foro. So first, I'm sorry, I probably got you misled. I didn't say I would like to be in the board, serving the board, and saying parents should be in the board.
But you have a high school student.
I have high school. I'm not saying that he is the one who's currently a newly elected student rep, but he's not me, and I'm not saying that I should be in the student board. I'm saying that parents should be represented in the Board of Ed.
As long as they're not high school, as long as they don't have any kids in high school, which means that only elementary and middle school parents would qualify, unless you're a freshman, and then you would run the 4 years, and then you wouldn't be eligible to serve anymore.
I think those details would have to be, straightened out in the committee. But the point is that, as you said, teachers should be in the board. Parents should be in the board.
Yeah, and I appreciate your testimony. I'm just trying to make sense of that because you're bringing us an idea without the details. So you're saying, bring more parents there and then figure out how to do it.
Well,
so I need to hear more details.
Sure, I think the best way to do it would be to have parents come, and then we could ask them how to best to solve this, because the only way we can have actual people participate in a table is to have them come and say, what do you think about this? If you want to be participating in the Board of Ed, how do we go about it? I cannot speak for all the parents. So maybe if you call the parents, and then maybe we'll have a better idea as to how to go about it.
Okay, and that's what this public hearing is about, to hear from parents. And I really, really appreciate your testimony, and thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to share,
One
share a comment, thank you. And you are aware that throughout the Board of Education, we have the PTOs, which are tremendously powerful venues where parents can participate and then disseminate to that particular boards and to the particular commissioners on the Board of Education. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to add to that. I'm a very active member of the Wilbur Cross PTSO.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Stephen Pollen and then Richard Hernandez after that. Thank you. Name and address for the record.
So I'm Stephen Poland. I live at 846 State Street. I'm testifying in favor of changes to the city charter, making a more democratic Board of Education through 2 seats on the Board of Education being reserved for parent guardians of current New Haven Public School students, potentially at the time of election, that could be worked out. An expansion of elected Board of Education seats from 2 to 4, reducing the number of mayoral appointments to 3, and the ability of non-citizen residents to serve on the Board of Education and all city commissions. I was a parent of a student in New Haven Public Schools for 10 years and currently work as a teacher in a therapeutic special education high school where I'm a proud member of New Haven Federation of Teachers Local 933. I've lived in New Haven for 14 years, during which time I've attended many Board of Education meetings and have been frustrated and at times disgusted with the board's inability to function in a way that benefits students, teachers, and neighborhoods. I've seen several appointed board members with ties to corporate charter schools stymie attempts to make positive changes to our schools because of their own private agendas opposed to public education serving all students. I've seen student needs around mental health services, nurses, and librarians sidelined by absurd infighting among board members who have no personal stake in our public schools and no accountability to the public. I've seen people appointed who have no active interest in improving New Haven public schools, but simply want a springboard to advance their own status and ambition. There is no transparency around how or why it was that they were appointed to make decisions that have enormous impacts on the lives of all students and staff in our schools. Our public school system is the single most egalitarian system that we have in the United States. As much as we all have criticisms of the race, class, and disability disparities that continue to exist in public schools, our schools accept everyone. In order to rectify these disparities, it's imperative that we have at least 2 seats on the board reserved for parents or guardians of current NHPS students. Issues and conditions change, and we need to make sure there is adequate representation of those who have a current stake in the system in decision-making roles. We also have a huge number of non-citizen students in our schools, and as long as adults who are not citizens are forbidden from serving on the board, those students' concerns and needs cannot possibly be adequately addressed. New Haven takes great pride in calling itself a sanctuary city, but how could we possibly be a sanctuary or a haven if we exclude such a critical part of our population from making decisions around issues that impact so many of our students? Only non-citizen adults can truly understand the interests and needs of non-citizen students in our schools, and I would say especially around disabilities. I'll wrap it up. Yeah. Especially on disabilities, we're overly reliant on public schools for disability services. Apologies. So they deserve the right to serve on the board. Finally, the single greatest problem impacting the board has been a total lack of accountability, which you have the opportunity to change by making the majority of the seats elected. I can't count how many conversations I've had with neighbors, people in the city of New Haven, about the dysfunctionality of the Board of Education, with most people throwing their hands up in defeat because we have little to no power to hold these board members accountable. You have the power to change this and make our public education system significantly more public and democratic by changing the city charter.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Thank you for your testimony. Would you like to leave, would you like to
Send it in by email.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So next we have Mr. Richard Hernandez. And after Mr. Richard Hernandez, we have Dave Cruz Bustamante. Hello, name and address for the record, and we can get started.
So my name is Richard Hernandez. I currently live at Ward 7, 32 High Street. And as a Yale undergraduate student, I've gathered some personal experiences and connection with the New Haven public school system. And I participated in Big Brother, Big Sister, which was a mentoring program at the Truman School. And coming from Los Angeles and going to public schools within one of the biggest, largest public school districts in the whole country, like my whole life, I was surprised to find that New Haven has a Board of Education with 4 appointed members, the mayor himself, and only 2 elected members. To me, this was pretty unheard of, since the Los Angeles Board of Ed consists of 7 elected members who each serve 4-year terms, and they in turn elect the superintendent. And upon finding this, I decided to do some more research into the school districts within Connecticut. And I haven't completed my research, but so far I found the following data. In Norwalk Public Schools, all 9 members of the Board of Ed are elected by voters. In the Hartford School District, the mayor appoints 5 members and voters elect 4 members. In the New Britain School District, all 10 members of the Board of Education are elected, and the mayor is never on the BoE. And in the Bridgeport School District as well, all 9 members of the Board of Education are elected, and the mayor is never on the Board of Education. I also want to share some data about schools and school districts in the rest of the country. And around the nation, 95% of school boards are elected by voters. And in Boston in 2021, recently, voters have overwhelmingly approved a referendum to change from an appointed school board to an elected school board. And every other city in Massachusetts, about 350 municipalities, have elected school boards. I believe the New Haven Board of Education should be more representative of the families and communities that NHPS serves, and that NHPS families and voters should have a real voice in the decisions that impact their children. Because of this, I support the following reform. 4 seats on the BoE should be elected by city voters and 3 appointed by the mayor. Immigrants should be allowed to serve on the BoE and all city commissions, and 2 seats on the BoE should be reserved for parents, guardians of current NHPS students. Thank you for considering the system.
Thank you. Any questions in the committee? Any questions, Alder Fellow?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll talk very loud. Just very quickly, thank you for your testimony.
Yeah.
Has your research shown the effectiveness of those boards in the other towns? Because we have that data.
Oh, like I've said, I haven't really completed my research yet. I've only looked at the facts. And I'm speaking from firsthand experience from living my whole life throughout public school systems and working at the Truman School and seeing firsthand what the students there are like and the staff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee? Thank you very much. If you would like to leave your testimony, you can leave it. Thank you. So now we have Mr. Dave Cruz Bustamante. Okay. Mr. Dave Cruz Bustamante. Okay, we'll move on to the next. Joanna Valley. Joanna Valley. After Joanna Valley, we have Sarah Monteria. Montero, thank you. How you doing? Name and,
Hola, buenas tardes.
you need interpret.
The way you are, okay?
Thank you. Name and address for the record.
Diga su nombre.
Claro, mi nombre es Juana Valle.
My name is Juana Valle. Okay, en tu dirección.
Ok, mi dirección es 1005 Quinnipiac Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut.
My address is 1005 Quinnipiac Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut.
Yo soy residente de New Haven desde hace más de 25 años.
I've been a 25-year, more than 25-year resident of New Haven.
Soy madre de familia de 4 hijos.
I'm a mother. I have 4 children.
Hoy doy mi testimonio como integrante de Unidad Latina en Acción.
Today I give my testimony as a member of Unidad Latina en Acción.
Somos una organización que lucha por los derechos de la gente inmigrante.
We are an organization that fight for the rights of migrant people,
Y trabajadora.
migrant and workers.
Tenemos más de 1,000 miembros que viven en todos los barrios de la ciudad de New Haven.
We have more than 1,000 members that live in all the neighborhoods of New Haven.
A finales del 2019, a mi esposo lo despidieron injustamente en una pizzería que trabajó más de 20 años.
At the end of 2019, my husband was laid off from his job in a pizzeria where he worked for more than 20 years.
Posteriormente, justo cuando inició la pandemia y estábamos con problemas económicos.
Okay, so afterwards, just when the pandemic started and we were facing financial struggles,
el departamento donde yo vivía contaba con muy malas condiciones higiénicas.
the apartment where I was living did not have the best cleaning conditions.
Hice más de como 3, 4 reportes a la ciudad.
I did like 3 or 4 reports to the city.
Y en represalia, el dueño del apartamento puso un juicio en mi contra.
And in vengeance, the owner of the apartment took me to court for that.
Él puso un desalojo que duró por más de 2 años.
He requested an eviction that lasted for more than 2 years.
La Comisión de Rentas Justas no pudo hacer nada.
The rent commission was not able to do anything.
Nosotros como inmigrantes sufrimos de injusticias y esto pasa porque no tenemos representantes que cambien por leyes justas a favor de nosotros.
Us as migrants, we suffer from injustices, and that happens because we do not have representatives that change the laws fairly for us.
Por tal motivo solicitamos a la Junta de Concejales que cambien la carta consecutiva de la ciudad de New Haven para permitir que las personas que no somos ciudadanas puedan servir en las juntas y comisiones de la ciudad.
For this reason, we request the city of New Haven, the aldermen, to change the constitution letter or card for the city of New Haven to allow that people who are not citizens can serve in the boards of education and commissions.
Vivimos en New Haven y somos una comunidad trabajadora que paga impuestos.
We reside in New Haven, and we are a working community that pay taxes.
Creamos trabajos por medio de pequeños negocios.
We create jobs through small businesses.
Criamos a nuestros hijos y familias aquí.
We raise our children and our families here.
Por eso aportamos recursos de consumo comercial que genera recursos en la economía y crecimiento en esta ciudad.
That's why we help with resources of commercial consumption that will generate resources for the economy and for the growth of the city.
Nuestra aportación va mucho más que el consumo.
We help more than what we consume.
Somos una comunidad que brinda cultura, artistas.
We are a community that offers culture artists,
ingenieros, profesionales, obreros y trabajadoras del hogar.
engineers, professors, workers, and workers at home.
También somos voluntarios en nuestras instituciones religiosas
We are also
locales.
volunteers for our local religious institutions.
Y en nuestras comunidades tenemos experiencias, conocimientos y vivencias que benefician a los consejos y comisiones de la ciudad y estamos dispuestos y deseosos de servir.
And we have experience, knowledge, and experience that benefit the boards and commissions of the city, and we want to help. We are in desire to help and serve.
New Haven se proclama una ciudad santuario y un lugar que acoge a todos los inmigrantes. Sin embargo, no tenemos la oportunidad de hacer oír nuestra voz de forma inclusiva y que nos haga sentir realmente que formamos parte de esta democracia.
New Haven states that it's a sanctuary city and a place that receives all migrants, but we do not have the opportunities for our voice to be heard in a very inclusive way that make us feel that we really form part of this democracy.
Gracias por su atención. Está en sus manos hacer un cambio que beneficiaría a toda la ciudad de New Haven.
Thanks for your attention. It's in your hands to make changes that benefits the whole city of New Haven.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Any questions? Or anyone? Any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you ask her if she wants to leave her testimony? So now we have Sarah Montero. And after Sarah Montero, we have Carolina Sanchez. Your name and address for the record, please.
Okay. Diga su nombre.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Mi nombre es Sara Montero.
My name is Sara Montero. Y su dirección.
Vivo en la 45 Frank Street.
I reside on 45 Grant Street.
Soy residente de New Haven hace un año.
I've been a resident in New Haven for a year.
Soy madre de una hija voluntaria con varias organizaciones y escuelas, entre ellas Unidad Latina en Acción.
I'm a mother. I have one daughter. I'm a voluntary in several organizations and schools, among them Unidad Latina en Acción.
Hoy doy mi testimonio como integrante de Unidad Latina en Acción. Somos una organización de lucha que lucha por los derechos de la gente migrante y trabajadora.
Today I give testimony as a member of Unidad Latina en Acción. We are an organization that fights for the rights of migrants and workers.
Solicitamos a la Junta de Concejales que cambien la Carta Constitutiva de la ciudad de New Haven para permitir que las personas que no son ciudadanas puedan servir en las juntas de comisiones de la ciudad.
We request the Board of Aldermen to change the charter of the city of New Haven to allow that people who are not citizens can serve in the boards and commissions of the city.
Somos gente honrada que elegimos establecernos en New Haven por ser una ciudad santuaria, pero nos excluyen y en varias ocasiones violan nuestros derechos.
We are honest people that who elected to reside in New Haven, and because it is called a sanctuary city, but we are excluded, and on several occasions they have violated our rights.
El año pasado inicié trabajando en un restaurante muy conocido en New Haven, como dishwasher, donde me pagaban a 12 la hora. trabajaba 6 días a la semana y hacía 57 horas semanales. Y no me pagaban las horas extra. Nuestras voces deben ser escuchadas y no silenciadas.
Last year, I started working in a restaurant, a very well-known restaurant in New Haven as a dishwasher, where I was being paid $12 an hour. I was working 6 days a week, 6 days a week, and up to 57 hours a week. And I was not paid for any overtime. Our voices should be heard and not silenced, as it has happened for all these years.
Como ha pasado por estos años. Nosotros aportamos de muchas maneras, no solo económicamente, sino también culturalmente. Pagamos impuestos, trabajamos y la mayoría de nosotros tenemos 2 trabajos. Nuestros hijos asisten a las escuelas.
We apport in various ways, not only economically, but also culturally. We pay taxes, we work, and most of us have 2 jobs. Our children go to school.
Participamos en eventos culturales, ayudamos a establecer una economía en New Haven. Tenemos experiencias y conocimientos y vivencias que benefician los consejos y comisiones de la ciudad y estamos dispuestos y deseosos de servir.
Okay. We have experience, knowledge, and from living here that benefits the boards and commissions of the city, and we are here. We want to serve.
Gracias por su atención. Está en sus manos hacer un cambio que beneficie a toda la ciudad de New Haven.
Thanks for your attention, and it's in your hands to make changes that benefits the whole city of New Haven.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Any questions? One question? Okay.
¿Me puede traducir, por favor? Okay, gracias. In the state of Connecticut Department of Labor, there's a wage and workplace standards. Okay, it does not matter if a person is migrant or not. The worker is worthy of his or her salary, and she could still file a claim. Thank you.
El obrero
Thank you,
merece
Mr.
su salario y puede hacer una queja, como quiera, okay?
Point of order, Madam
you.
Chair.
Yes.
Just want to remind our committee members that we should refrain from offering any advice, legal advice or otherwise, as this is just a public hearing.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Majority Leader Furlong. It's just information.
Thank you.
Inappropriate.
We'll just stay focused on the testimony. Thank you very much for your testimony. So next we have Carolina Sanchez. And after Carolina Sanchez, we have Adriana Canu. Name and address for the record, please. Do you need?
Oh, okay.
So you name and address.
Primero su nombre. Diga su nombre.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Carolina Sánchez.
Good afternoon, my name is Carolina Sánchez, su dirección.
Vivo en la 33 Lander Street, New Haven.
I reside at 33 Lander Street, New Haven.
Soy madre de 3 niñas.
I'm a mother of 3 daughters.
Ahora doy mi testimonio como integrante de Unidad Latina en Acción.
Today I give testimony as a member of Unidad Latina en Acción.
Somos una organización que lucha por los derechos de la gente inmigrante y trabajadora.
We are an organization that will fight for the rights of the migrants, of workers and migrants.
Tenemos más de 1,000 miembros que viven en todos los barrios de la ciudad de New Haven.
We have more than 1,000 members that resides in all the neighborhoods of New Haven.
Empecé a trabajar en el 2019 en una taquería de la ciudad. Todo iba bien hasta que finales del año 2022 me empezaron a acosar.
I started working in 2019 in a taco place in the city of New Haven, and everything was fine until in 2022 I started being harassed.
No me pagaban las horas extras, abusaban de mí solo por el hecho de ser mujer, de color y emigrante. Soporté mucha humillación.
I was not being paid for overtime. I was being abused for the fact that I'm a woman of color and a migrant. I suffered a lot of humiliation.
Me despidieron por defender mis derechos y los derechos de mis compañeros.
I was laid off just for fighting for my rights and for the rights of my co-workers.
Ya cansada de tanto abuso, llamé a la policía e hice el reporte. Ellos nunca hicieron nada.
After being tired of so much abuse, I called the police and I made a report. They never did anything anyways.
Excuse me. I just want to make sure that we're staying germane to the topics that I listed today for this hearing. So, because it doesn't sound like anything that's being said has anything to do with the topics of charter revision.
Tiene que ver con el asunto de inmigración. So I want to continue.
Okay, but if it's not pertaining to what we're talking about here, I'm gonna have to cut you off.
Pero si no tiene que ver con el tema que estamos hablando, ella te va a cortar el testimonio.
Es muy triste decir que hasta la concejal del distrito está a favor del opresor. Necesitamos que nos represente personas de nuestra comunidad.
Okay, all right. So your testimony is for, it sounds like another meeting, not this meeting.
Para otra audiencia, no para esta
No,
So I'm gonna, no, John, you will not do that here. No.
Yes.
This is my meeting.
This is related to the.
This is my meeting, John. John,
Yes.
you can leave if you cannot control yourself, okay? So I'm gonna have my colleague speak to her so we are all on the same page. And just so everyone knows, I listed, I believe, 10 items. If you're not coming up here to talk about those 10 items, this is not the meeting for you, okay? So, Alder Rodriguez, if you can please say whatever it is you're gonna say.
Usted me permite. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
So, si usted me permite, thank you, Madam Chair. Estamos aquí hoy para hablar de la revisión del charter. Pensamos hablar de lo propuesto para permitir y escuchar a todo el mundo de los que no son ciudadanos de la ciudad de Connecticut que pueda servir en comisiones y comités de la ciudad. Le pedimos que parara su testimonio porque lo que la directora ahora del comité está pidiendo, todas las cosas que ella dijo antes de la reunión, vamos a mantenernos a la letra del curso que tenemos de lo que estamos presentando hoy. No es que su testimonio no sea importante, es que en este comité tenemos que continuar las leyes. No queremos romper las leyes a nadie ni pararle a usted, pero la señorita ha pedido que paremos porque estamos haciendo la revisión del charter, a ver cómo nosotros podemos ayudar a toda la comunidad de New Haven, especialmente la comunidad emigrante y también los ciudadanos de esta ciudad. En este momento, esa conversación la podemos tener a otro tiempo. No la estoy parando porque no tenemos interés. Queremos seguir la junta. So, si nos permite y le puede entregar a la señorita su testimonio y entonces en otra junta nos podemos platicar. Muchísimas gracias. Gracias. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alder. So the next person we have is Adriana Cahoon. Cahoon, yes. Canoon. Adriana Canoon.
So we're not going to participate in any.
Okay. Thank you very much. If you want to leave, everyone that wants to leave, please, but do it quietly. Thank you very much for coming to this very important meeting. Hello, how are you? You are Ms. Cajon.
No, it's Andrea.
Andrea Edwards. So Andrea Edwards, I didn't call you yet. So next, not next, but I'll call your name when it's your turn. See, Adriana Cajon, I guess either you left. Okay. The next person is Megan Fontaine. Megan Fontaine? Okay, thank you very much. The next person is Mary Ellen Marie. Is that Burns?
No.
Oh, yes, Sister Mary, oh.
Sister Mary.
Sister Mary. You reminded me of my old school. St. Mary's.
No rulers.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. We all remember those. Thank you very much. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes. My name is Mary Ellen Burns. I'm the Director of Apostle Immigrant Services at 115 Blatchley Avenue in New Haven. And it's under those auspices that I'm here tonight, if that is okay for my address.
Oh, yeah, as long as you're staying germane to the topics that we're discussing tonight, by all means, you have 3 minutes.
And I hope to be briefer than that. I wanted to, well, actually, I came here after reading commentary in a New Haven Independent article about this proposition, which specifically I'm here about allowing people who are not electors to serve on the various commissions and boards. And in my day job as an immigration lawyer, I felt that there was in the discussion something of a lack of understanding of the immigrant communities of New Haven, as well as of the structure of our immigration law. And I want to raise this to the board's attention. The first thing is the diversity of the immigrant community in New Haven, which I'm sure as a collective you are aware, but just to put it on the record. Our office has been open for 15 years, and although we do represent people who are outside the city of New Haven, we have had clients of between 105 and 110 different countries, and the majority of our clients are residents of New Haven. So it's a broad variety of immigrants, not only from the countries they come from, but also what they bring. We have people who are who did not have the benefit of education in their home countries. We have people who have degrees, medical degrees, and other professional degrees in their country, and often are not able to work in those positions here. But I'd also like to note the immigration status of non-citizens in New Haven is also extremely diverse. You've heard testimony from a number of people who I believe identified as perhaps not yet having unauthorized immigration status, but many of our clients do, and beyond that, many people who are not our clients do. We're all aware of the world-class university here that attracts scholars and students from many different countries. We're aware of the vibrant different types of industries in New Haven that would attract people who are, and that would require people who are perhaps not citizens of the United States and who are here on temporary work status. So you've got a wide variety of people who are bringing a tremendous amount of experience, not just from their countries, but in their day-to-day living, where they live in New Haven, what their work is, what their family structures are, just as those who are US citizens and therefore can be electors bring that diversity. Thank you. The other things that I wanted to point out is how long immigration processes take. Some of our clients who are getting benefit as having been victims of crime, they may take, and this is going to shock you, up to 25 years before they'll become a US citizen with the way things are going currently. Similarly, some of the people in our city on work visas that are employment-based for people who have, significant training and that meets the immigration standards for being a skilled worker, they too may be waiting that similar length of time, 15 years or more, by the time they are able to get legal permanent residence and then become citizens. And my point is that we should not deprive the city of their expertise and experience simply because of, frankly, dysfunctions and delays within the federal system of which the city has no control. So those are my points, and I thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Any questions from anyone? Herrera?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You gave some valuable information. One of the things that I'm really passionate is you mentioned all of the skills of immigrants that they have. Not only the high educated, but the skills that they have as a business owner. What do you think that these people, they can elaborate and be the voice to open the doors and make the vocabulary to understand what is the barriers that the immigrant community is living every day?
If I understand the question, is the variety of immigrants in the city can also provide information and perspective from the barriers that they're trying to overcome. And I think that is certainly true. You did bring up small business owners, and I believe this was mentioned in prior testimony. Persons born outside the United States are more likely to start businesses, and of course many of them start as small businesses. And so they also bring that experience in addition to the particular barriers that might be higher for someone who is not familiar with our systems from the get-go. And that brings a unique perspective, I think, into ways perhaps some of our systems could be improved. So yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any additional questions?
I just have one.
You do have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. In reference to your entity or your organization, seeing that you have a wonderful privilege of seeing the individuals that are coming and their expertise, their skills, their talents, is your organization doing anything at this time to help them engage so that they can contribute at this time? I understand that you're here because you'd like to see them have the opportunity to sit on boards and commissions, but is your organization doing anything? Thank you.
Our organization focuses on providing immigration legal services. That's our primary focus, and we are a small organization. So that is what we really concentrate our efforts on. And of course, by the number of people for whom we can get work authorization, the number of young people that we've worked with, probably about between 350, 450 people with deferred action for childhood arrivals. That has really enabled them to participate in the economic life, the civic life of our area, as well as to take fuller advantage of educational opportunities.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Manager.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
testimony.
You're very
If you
welcome.
want to leave your testimony.
Well, actually, I will send it in by email.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Lisa Bassani. And after Ms. Bassani, we have Mildred Melendez. Sorry.
Hi.
Name and address for the record.
Lisa Bassani, 11 Nelson Street in Ward 18. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm a parent of 2 girls at Nathan Hale School. One will be in 4th grade next year and one will be in 8th grade. And I'm here to testify in favor of the proposed charter revision, which would require the 2 members of the Board of Education to be either parents or guardians of current students. I would say that this is an eminently reasonable proposal to ensure that those directly impacted by the decisions of the Board of Ed are at the table and have a voice in the city. The Board of Ed's decisions on how to allocate millions and millions of dollars on which contractors to hire or which contracts to renew or not, and most importantly, which person leads the system, affect us and our kids every single day. And we as parents are ground zero. We know what's working and we know the countless things that are not. And more importantly, we don't just know our own school. We all have networks of friends that amplify our knowledge of the overall system. I personally have friends with kids in Betsy Ross, Co-op, New Haven Academy, Wilbur Cross, Fane, ECA, the list goes on, and I'm sure people that have been in this room to testify that our parents can say the same. And this, the kind of conversation and information sharing that happens at this ground level with all of us is irreplaceable in identifying systemic issues and finding workable teams of parents and educators to fix them. The time has come to codify this requirement for parent representation through a charter revision. And if I can take I can scrap my last part because I do want to address Alder Furlow. Obviously there are some details to be worked out, but I don't think, even if you were to carve it out, that a person who had a 10th grader, for instance, and just one student in the school system would not be eligible. There are still thousands and thousands of parents who would be eligible and would provide the same representation for all of us. So I think, obviously there are always details to work out, and there are tons of commissions that happen at the state level where you have specific types of people that have to fit a role. And this would be saying that in this body, 2 people at any one time on the board have to be parents. I think it's obviously broadly popular based on the testimony today, but also completely reasonable, and it ensures that ground level knowledge is at the table when those decisions are made. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee?
Of course I do, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your testimony. My more specific question is, how will the parents run? So you're asking for 2 parents. The testimony has been for 2 parents to sit on the Board of Ed. Will these 2 parents run citywide? Or will they run for half the city, like we have the 2 elected now, where each one represents one half of the city? So that was my general question, because will we divide it into 4 now? Or will we, because we want representation. So how would that work?
I don't think you would change I don't think this proposal is about changing the appointee versus the elected members. It would say that if at one time there was one elected member who was a parent and the mayor had an appointee to appoint, then the requirement would be to fulfill the charter requirements that mayoral appointee had to be a parent. That's how I read it. And I think that's
not what people are saying. They're asking for an elected position, from what I'm hearing, to have 2 parents that are elected to sit on the Board of Ed.
Exactly.
So we have 2 so that's 4 elected positions in total. Some people have asked for 3 that are appointed by the mayor, 4 that are elected, 2 of them being parents. And so that's why I'm asking, or what I'm asking is, would these 2 parents run statewide or citywide? Would the city be divided in half? If one parent run for half the city, the other depending on where they live? Because they would have to run in the district that they live in. It's a little more complicated than just adding people on who are parents.
But why would it be complicated to define 2 citywide parent representatives? And you wouldn't have to create new districts. I'm trying to understand why that would be so complicated.
We certainly could do it, but no one's given me an answer on how that would work. They're just saying 2 parents elected, and I've been asking elected how? To run citywide or to run in a portion of the city? How would that work?
I mean, my personal understanding was just that at any one time on the board, that 2 of the members had to be. So that's my understanding, that you weren't being creating districts. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I misinterpreted. But my understanding was that, so if a position came open and it was a mayoral appointee, then that would require to fulfill charter. So that's my understanding. But maybe I'm wrong. But either way, I don't think, there's always details to work out and how something gets executed. But I think based on the testimony today, this is broadly popular. Clearly, parents don't feel represented in the system. We watch Board of Ed members fighting with each other. I mean, I think people want to see civility and putting the children's best interests in mind. I mean, the student that came from Wilbur Cross, I've seen those Wilbur Cross students testify at Board of Ed. They're so smart. They're great. They want to see what they're bringing to the table get addressed. So I don't think, obviously there's always details to be worked out. Certainly when we created the 2 elected bodies, you had to create a district, somebody had to draw a line, right? It went through a process to create these 2 citywide districts. So I don't think in terms of dealing with the actual execution, I don't think that's a reason to not do it.
No, that's not what I was saying. I'm just wondering if you had any additional details to offer on how it would work, because when we did divide it and have the 2, there was extensive testimony on how that would actually work.
On how to divide them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's what I was asking. I
mean,
don't disagree with what you're saying.
Couldn't you keep the same districts then? You have just the 2 of those. I mean, I'm just saying, I think there's easy ways to actually execute this. You keep the same districts, and just one of the people running in that is a parent.
I was just asking what your thoughts were.
Oh, well, I would love to think through this, obviously, and, I'm a public school parent. We're not decamping to some private school. We're not. I'm here. 8th grader and a 4th grader, I'll be in the system for a while. But I mean, I think that, we're people that are directly invested and understand what's happening. We're at the park with our friends. We hear, them clamoring for special ed services they're not getting. We're hearing about emails not being returned. So that's the kind of ground level information that should be at the table at a Board of Ed meeting.
Thank you. I really appreciate your testimony.
And I will say, if you come up with an idea, please email it to the public testimony.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mildred Melendez.
Hi, name and address for the record.
Mildred Melendez, 117 Lexington Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time. First, let me start by saying that no one better than me knows how much work and effort goes into these boards and commissions and committees. I chair the BZA, I'm the vice chair for the DTC, and I'm co-chair in my ward. So I can appreciate your time and everyone's comments. I'm here today to support the proposed charter revision regarding the New Haven Board of Education. As to the questions, I'm not gonna, go repeat everything that everyone said tonight. I agree, they need it, we've heard it, parents need to be on it. As to my testimony, I can tell you that when my daughter went from Worthington Hooker to Cross, it was a huge transition. It was a big school, and I became the PTO president for 4 years. My daughter is successful. She graduated Cross, she graduated college, she's working, and I think it's because I was there. They put a name with the face of the kid, and I knew the pulse of the school. I was able to be that voice, advocate for her, because when they go in as freshmen, they're quiet and weak, and they don't know how to advocate. Yeah, we've seen seniors here who are refined, and, juniors, and by then, we all find ourselves, and we can, advocate for ourselves. But in the meantime, there is a transition where they go through, and they need their parents. As for the mayor's chair, I thank him for his time. I think, with the job that he has, to take the time to be on the committee, I can admire that. However, I think that seat would be better taken by someone who, can share his voice, but is also a parent. And as to other furloughs questions, I just want to say that, I think that I would volunteer my time. I don't have a lot, but I volunteer it to try to find a solution, because we're amazing people in this city, and the board should reflect the diverse body of students that we have within our schools, both ethnically, racial, economically. I think that we have a good ratio and we have diversity together. We should be able to have a successful board. And, and again, we shouldn't have the same 4 people all the time running in all the boards, because tonight I missed the meeting, but this was important to me. Although my daughter graduated, I believe in children, not to sound like a cliche, but they are our future. And as we can see from many statistics, our kids need help. We just came back from a pandemic, and who better? They were with their parents for a whole year. So the parents know what works, you know what I mean, what their kids need. So I think we should give them a platform where they can voice it. Again, I understand it's a process and it's added work, but I think, if there's a calling, I'm sure you'll get volunteers to help, in the process. One last thing. PTO presidents are great, but you only do one school. We want to get all over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Oh, question.
Any questions from anyone from the committee? No? Yes? Okay, Alder Furlow?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you so much for your commitment and for the committees that you've served on and being so effective, especially within the BCA. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Marika Dominguez. After Ms. Dominguez, we have Maritza Spell. Name and address for the record.
My name is Mirka Dominguez Salinas, and I live at 3 Winter
You said,
My name is Mirka Dominguez Salinas, and I live at 380 Winter Ave, so Ward 24. I am here in support of the revision to expand participation in city boards and commissions to non-citizens. So I've been a resident of New Haven since 2019. I got my green card in 2021 and was previously undocumented for 20 years. So growing up in fear and uncertainty, I never felt at home in any place. And my first experience with New Haven was at Southern. And from then, my long-term goal was to make this my home and live here. And so I was able to move here, and along with my partner, we actively decided to make New Haven our home and to invest in the community through our jobs and through involvement in community groups. And so I support this revision because folks who call New Haven home, people like me, should have the opportunity to have input in decisions that affect them as residents of New Haven. And so I'm here for myself, but also I work for Integrated Refugee and Immigrant Services as the Services for Undocumented Neighbors Program Manager. We provide services to undocumented immigrants in New Haven. And I also work with many coworkers who also are not citizens. And we should have the opportunity to be active participants in city decisions. And I also want to be clear that I know that time and energy, to be part of these commissions is not something that many people can afford. So I want to take that into account, that even for citizens, often the most vulnerable don't get a say in decisions, and they're most vulnerable left out of the most important decision making. So with that being said, most of the clients that I work with are busy working, trying to navigate their legal cases, learning English, and dealing with all the issues that come with migrating to a new country. But this is a choice that they should still have, and that my coworkers and I should still have. And this should be accessible because we work here, we pay taxes, we raise our families, and we're choosing to contribute to our communities. And like many people before, I want to highlight the skills and experience that immigrants and refugees bring to the table. Many IRIS clients and New Haven community members, were professionals in their own country, for doctors, small business owners. And many times they were silenced by the government, they were threatened with their lives. And if it's even difficult to get them to speak up about these decisions. So we should embrace these differences and give people the opportunity to be here and to show up. And then also, I want to say that as a native Spanish speaker, you gave the woman here an opportunity to speak, and you didn't let her finish speaking, and the interpreter didn't finish. And she did get to her point, and I think that makes, yeah. And I think that it just shows that a lot of the immigrant community is silenced a lot of the time. That is wrong.
Well, I do want to let you know that she and everyone else here got 3 minutes. And so what she had to say was longer than 3 minutes, and it didn't match what we were saying here today. But thank you for your testimony, and thank you for your comments.
Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much. If you want to leave your testimony, you can. Okay, thank you.
Maritza Spell, and after Maritza Spell is Eric Gonzalez. I'm sorry?
Eric is gonna email.
He's got the email? Okay, great, thank you. Thank you. Ms. Spell, name and address for the record.
Good evening, my name is Maritza Spell. I live at 302 Shelton Avenue, District 20. And I am here to suggest a change to the board's current composition of 4 appointed members and 2 elected members, and the mayor that was established as part of the most recent charter revision 10 years ago. Parent voice is something that the board is currently missing. Since the late Daisy Gonzalez time on the board came to an end, this unique and valuable perspective on the board matters has been lacking big time. May she rest in peace. While the mayor seemingly fulfills this role as a parent on the board, the specific struggles that most of the New Haven public school population faces are not adequately reflected by his experiences. Given that a healthy democratic governance structure centers the voices of those personally invested and decades of research reveals many benefits of parental and caregiver involvement in school and in school systems, I suggest that the board moves to include more parental representation. Representation from at least 2 current New Haven public school parents or caregivers would facilitate the flow of information on current school conditions from families to the Board of Education, bring a sense of urgency to the governance process, and improve outcomes overall. And then address your question, now the furlough. I'm not saying that they need to be elected. I'm saying we need 2 parents on that board. Daisy was dynamite. Since she's been gone, we don't have that. We were able to call her not only to address our needs for the board, but for her to explain things that we didn't understand that was going on the board and in our schools. She was there. She was there. We can touch her. We can reach her. We can get help and support from her. That's what I'm looking for. And PTO, sorry, I got hired as a parent liaison because I went to the parent meeting and I was one of 2 people that showed up. So that doesn't help. I'm sorry. So I'm here, please asking you to revise this chart.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions from members of the committee? Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. If you want to leave your testimony, if you have questions. Thank you very much. Okay, we have Maria. Oh, Bernie. Maria, did she leave? That's our pending librarian. Okay, she left. I do not. Is this Lewis? Is anyone here by the name of Luis? We didn't write out the last name. Okay. Okay. Sean Reeves? What's that? Chazelle Manning? Left. That looks like a Jones. We'll get back to them. Maria Harris? Miss Maria, you could come up. Hello. Name and address for the record.
Maria Harris, 84 Willow Street, New York, Connecticut. Okay, so I really didn't have anything for here, but I did want to speak on, I guess that you guys are spouting some laws.
for the state of Connecticut. And one of them is every 10 years, because the last time I spoke on this was for the last 10 years since Mayor DeStefano was here. I've been a parent for over 20 years in this district. And I can honestly say yes, this is Daisy, phone number, card. We was able to speak to Daisy anytime. I represent many different groups. I'm a graduate of New Haven Public Schools. I'm first generation. But did you ever look at the audience or the public that was here? It looked like one set of people. And I wonder why. It's because how did y'all send out this information for this meeting tonight? I never got anything. It's not on the website. It's nowhere to be found. I just so happened to receive a phone call saying, are you going to the meeting tonight? I'm like, what meeting? But I love the agenda. It needs to be looked at because the Connecticut state law, statute 10, 1 through statute 10, 1, it clearly states what's supposed to be on your board. That hasn't been followed. Garth came through.
I need you to back up. What specifically as related to these 10 items are you referring to?
The Board of Education, the mayor being on the board.
Okay.
The parents being on the board.
So
the board members
speak to your
so
support.
the law states that what the requirements are that should be on our board. And New Haven has not followed it in over a decade. We don't have parents on the board. Everybody is the mayor, or somebody appointed that's close to the mayor, somebody that works inside the school and got through the mayor. Nobody's representing the vocational, the parents, the educational, the educators. We're supposed to have educators on that board. We do not have any educators on the board. We used to have a group called Citywide Parenting. That's gone. Prior to the pandemic, they have this school year, 2022-23. My youngest goes to Catherine Brennan Rogers, Clarence Rogers, or whatever you want to call it. They refuse us to have a parent meeting. Kimberly Danley refused for us to have a parent team of any sort. They had plenty of fundraisers. We never knew where our money was going to, but nobody represents us. I'm first generation. My mother's Cuban. The story, okay, well, let me speak this story. So my mother, the things that I see now in 2023, my mother experienced here in 1969 here going to Hill House. The same things I watched with the parents, and with the teachers and the students, how they're mistreated, still goes on here. There's nobody to ever represent me, ever. My child has been bullied for over 2 years. She's missed 2 school years. And I've gone to the mayor, I've gone to everyone from the board, and I'm gonna speed this up, but everyone to the board, aldermen and all, and I have not got any justification for my child. I'm not considered an immigrant, but I have nobody that looks like that, thinks like me, and actually helps out with the parents and what we need for our students. I've been a parent for over 20 years, and I haven't received any help yet. But we do need some parents on this board.
Thank you. Anyone, questions? Any questions? Okay. Thank you for your testimony.
No questions for me?
No questions?
No questions. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you very much. So we have, that was Ms. Maria? Yeah. So we had Iffy Waters. And then after Ms. Waters, we have Andrea. They only said Andrea. Okay, hi, how you doing?
I'm well.
Name and address for the record.
My name is Najija Ife Waters. I live at 517 New Hall Street in Hampton, Connecticut. I'm here as a parent, a special education advocate, as well as a parent leader in this New Haven district. I've heard part of Ms. Paige Harris' testimony or looking at this, first of all, what, like she said, I saw a post by Mr. Hicklin about tonight. And unfortunately, it was not enough time to actually get all of the parents or stakeholders involved, which should have been something that was put out so that we all can partake in this. I did share it on the citywide parenting page. Again, I just want to speak to that. It is very important that the alders understand that number 7 takes place, which is requiring 2 parents or guardians of the current New Haven Public School students to be appointed to the board. Now, I have a question about that. When you say parents being a part, would it mean that the parents have to be in New Haven? Because it says requiring, because with people changing the laws.
I don't want you to waste your minutes.
But I'm responding to your facial expression,
Right.
so.
No,
okay.
and what I'm saying, I don't want you to waste your minutes because you haven't told us anything. So you only got a minute and 14 seconds, they stopped the clock. A minute and 14 seconds.
Okay. It is very important to have 2 parents. Parents are stakeholders as well as students. We need someone to represent us as well from a parent perspective. We need the mayor off the board. When you look at the old charter, it does talk about exceptions of which board the mayor should not be on. It's a conflict of interest. It's no help to us that the mayor is on the board. Mayors don't need to be on the board. We need a board that represents students, parents, teachers, as well as any other individuals. When you guys make these decisions, it is very important that you look into the state regulation laws as well as the federal, because we have rights. Our rights are not being considered. That's just period. Moving forward, it is very important, if we're going to change something, then put everybody at the table. Do it right. Follow, just like you have this chapter, follow the rules. Okay.
Thank you. No problem. Before you leave,
Okay.
anybody got any questions? Anybody have any questions?
Now that's a problem.
No, you can, thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Andrea? No, you all said, huh?
No, he was saying something.
No.
No?
Through the
Because I
chair,
didn't recognize him.
through the chair.
Yes.
I'm here to listen to make a true informed decision about what's on the charter revision for tonight. I'm here to listen, and I think that we all are here to listen because this meeting is about the interest of yourself and whoever spoke sitting in those 2 chairs tonight. So it's not a dialogue situation, it's a listening situation.
But behind that is also should be a question of why
So-
you feel the way
So,
you do.
so, right? No, we're just, no, I don't need that.
But this is the problem.
So,
This
no,
is right here.
This is my meeting. This is my meeting, and I didn't disrespect you.
And I'm not trying to disrespect.
Okay,
you,
so,
but I am trying
so
to ensure
listen,
you guys do better
listen,
for our children. That's
listen.
it. Do better for our kids.
Okay,
Do better for our kids.
okay. So, Andrea, is there Andrea? Are you Andrea? Are you, okay, no problem. So, Ms. Andrea, your name and address for the record?
My name is Andre Edwards. I've been working with the governor for the past 3 years. I'm the CEO, founder, Kingdom Village, Leaders Believe. Excuse my speech impediment, because I've been robbed out here in B, so I have a concussion. So I have a speech impediment, so forgive me. My grandfather was the first Black alderman in Bridgeport, so I've been.
Pull the mic to you, please.
My grandfather was the first Black alderman in Bridgeport, so I've been doing this for a long time. I think it's very great that y'all doing this for the mayor appointee, so that should be doing, that's a good idea. But for the youth being engaged, I understand she was saying there need to be a communication for the people that need awareness of these meetings. I do agree with that. And for y'all talked about numerous things, and I hope y'all do touch and agree. If someone applies in each individual chapters of these divisions of the boards of these alders, there's 11 of y'all. So I hope someone do have someone in these positions for the educators and these mayor appointees, because they need to be somebody appointed behind the mayor as well, because he got to take care of his family too. He worked with the ladder as well too. Everyone has worked at the ladder. I come from a diverse cultural background. Once I did the intro, I'm a mother of 4 and also a grandmother as well. And in the education system, when I was in Milford, these children were vaping. I was like, you don't need to be vaping. There's people, their disease.
So I read, because you only got about another a minute and 30 seconds left. So in regards to the topics that we're focused on for charter revision, is there anything that you want to say that you're for or against?
I'm for the mayoral appointee. It needs to be set, and also parents as well, because these children, they need to know their place. The generation coming up, they're doing what they want. This community is expecting a lot of things. These youth people need to be engaged. That's going to be a great influence. It's going to be positive to lead in the generation.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Any questions from members of the committee?
Yes, her address.
Did you say your address?
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no.
Can you say your address for the record?
I've been in New Haven 15 years.
So, address.
My address is the safe house. I have 2 days still left to be there.
Okay.
I not gotten my check because I never collected an employment. My last 3 jobs, I lost 3 of them.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
That's why I opened my own company.
Thank you. And just so everyone is aware, this meeting is posted on the website. So if there's ever anything that, as far as law is concerned, concerning this city, and you're that interested, go to the Board of Alders website on a daily basis, because you will be able to see every meeting we have listed for these chambers, okay? So I just want everybody to know that. And there's no questions, so thank you very much for your testimony.
I do want to put something out there. There should be another set for social, for the youth, for maybe for a graphic, for having the boards for alders.
Okay, and just so that you know, I'm not sure that you are aware, we do have 2 youth representatives on our Board of Education. So we're on the same page, thinking about the youth and making sure that they're engaged. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know some of y'all, so keep it the good work, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have no one else listed on our sheet. And so is there anyone else who wishes to testify? Once again, is there anyone here who is willing to testify? You already testified, thank you. And one more time, is there anyone here who would like to testify that has not had an opportunity? With that,
I make a motion to close the public testimony.
Second.
there's a motion that has been moved and second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstain. The ayes have it. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight's meeting.
Madam Chair, make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we adjourn. Any questions about that discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We are adjourned.
Good job.